Yeah, finally. So we're very happy to be here, the conference and the NODEM community. We are 3 persons here to present the paper TACID record, where we investigate augmented documentation methods in relation to traditional knowledge, and we kind of represent the user perspective towards the museum world. My name is Almevik, and I'm director of the craft laboratory at the University of Gothenburg. My colleagues here also are master craftsmen, blacksmiths, and also university staff, Jarefjäll, Department of Conservation, doctoral student, and Samuelsson, associate professor at HDK at Steneby. Our paper concerned this conference theme by the advocacy for intangible cultural heritage, and also the interest in visual and digital documentation methods. We are especially interested in how to elicit multisensory and performative aspects of traditional knowledge. We recognize that the work with intangible heritage deeply concern the museum institutions, and we also recognize that traditional craftsmanship is a specified domain in the UNESCO Convention for Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage. We will argue that the safeguarding of traditional craftsmanship must involve tools for transmitting crafts, if the craft shall not end up as an esoteric archive record. We assume that craft have to be practiced, only then it can be maintained and developed as living heritage. And understanding the performative situation is a key, we think, to cultural heritage, as the meaning is attributed and staged in performative situations. In this perspective, cultural heritage is first and foremost intangible heritage. During the 19th and 20th century, museums and archives in the Western world have collected a considerable amount of artifacts and produced records of trades, working memories, manual procedures referring to endangered traditional crafts. To take a step forward to improve documentation, we need to look back and question the previous documentations. What potential value is embedded in the records on traditional craft? To whom and for what purpose may these documents be of interest or value? In this paper, we critically investigate filmmaking of traditional craftsmanship, and we will experiment methods to elicit tacit dimensions. This work is grounded on a case study of a documentary by Richard Tigström at Västerbotten Museum that you see here, called Liesmid in Swedish. It's from the early 1970s. It's recording 2 old blacksmiths making a wrought iron scythe.
Stereo. You hear stereo. You can hear me stereo. Our investigation starts with an analysis of the documentary. By what methods could a documentary of a craft procedure be analyzed? In the investigation, we use procedure analysis and time-space geography, a method originated in culture geography. Time-space geography was developed by Torsten Hägerstrand in the early 1970s. Originally to serve geographical diffusion studies of migration and spread of new technologies. The method has been modified to the nature of our empirical material and objective. First, the time-space path is the timeline of the documentary. Second, the space is the visual appearance of the space displayed by the film. The method of time-space geography focuses on the moment of an individual, or so-called individual's time-space path, correlated in temporal spatial environment and visualized in a graphic template. The analysis in this case results in a protocol about the film that is not to be mixed up with the actual craft process. The time-space geography exposes lapses in the documentary. The film shows in all 20 procedures within the forging process from raw material to the made side. We have counted 151 clips reduced in 2 days of film shooting to 80 minutes and 17 seconds, including text-based meta information and environment panoramas. The film does not make clear how many sides are produced during the film shooting, whether there is one side in operation or a series edited in one timeline or the same clip looped to fill a sound gap for the speaker is of vital importance for the interpretation of craftsmanship. The second type of protocol is a conventional procedure analysis, often associated with industrial production of application and of measurement time method for industrial efficiency. The process analysis is a comprehensible type of protocol. However, in relation to craftsmanship, it may be deviously instructive. This protocol is nevertheless useful to interpret and prepare for the reconstruction, given a hypothesis of the actual procedure represented in the documentary. We have identified central procedures and snapped core moments within the process as displayed in the documentary. To each procedure, we have added critical comments on material, tools, and working methods. The time-space geography is a development of the event log and puts light on discontinuity and the spacing of the craft performance. The method can be used to analyze an existing document or to prepare for a reconstruction and possibly also to plan a documentary. The presenting of the individual path from top down corresponds to the reading of a home page. A further development could be to link audio, illustrations, pictures, guidance, and meta text to the diagram presented on a home page. The critical judgment of the documentary by the time-space analysis and the procedures analysis display the dysfunctional forging process.
Setting out from the data and the interpretation of the film record, the craft procedure has been reconstructed. The aim is to expose and test the information presented in the documentary. What information is guiding the forging process? What information gaps are necessary to fill in? To test the relation between the form of the raw material and the side, a plasticine model was initially made. The plasticine model serves to prepare and practice the forging process, obtaining the pre-understanding of material volumes and form, as well as the procedures. The investigation is similar to conventional action research, in the sense that the researcher is a subject undertaking action that are at the same time the research object. The researcher is directly influenced by the result of the reconstruction. The research contains elements of planning, action, observation, and reflection. The analytical friction is created by moving between observation of matter, self-observation in action, and self and participant observation over action, using the concepts of Donald Schoen. The protocols are essentials, serving as documentation and at the same time hypothesis and displays of results. The dialogue, the reinterpretation of records, and the production of draft protocols builds up the level of inquiry, from personal experience to gaining a possible intersubjective result. Documentation is fundamental to the investigation, but also causes problems. The documentation mission takes focus away from the actual performance. The requirements in research are destructive to the tacit knowledge required in the action. That itself is required in this type of practical-led research. The research questions and focal inventors disturb the flow. The scientific term observation effect may be relevant to define this type of problem. Another critical aspect of the reconstruction is the difficulty in judging the effect in action of one's own internalized experiences. The challenge is to use experiences and skills and at the same time undertake a performance that may follow another tradition or working method. For instance, the smith in the documentary packed the steel in the welding process in a way that was causing problems. For craftsmen, it is common practical logic to solve problems in action rather than to question and review the situation from another theoretical position than the one undertaken in action. This is logical in the field of practice. To follow the exact procedures demonstrated in the documentary, it was necessary to expose more precisely what aspects of the process were dysfunctional. In this case, a sum of bad decisions: too much heat burning of material, not working the weld enough when correctly heated, working too hard on cold iron, and starting from the tank to the edge, causing problems keeping the steel in position. One additional experiment was made to investigate specific information gaps in the documentary. The documentary has faded colors, and consequently this aspect of the forging was difficult to simulate in the reconstruction. Therefore, experiments were performed using an infrared camera in order to explore problems and possibilities to record and display color in a useful way for forging. The conclusion is that it is possible to use an infrared camera to reflect upon the tacit judgments concerning color in the craft of forging. However, there are many shortcomings with the technology. Further studies would be interesting to examine the subjective and possible intersubjective judgments of steel temperature by color and how this could affect the smith's strategy and outcome in processes of welding, hardening, and annealing.
Yeah, this investigation is a small contribution to an ongoing experimental research to develop an augmented documentation methodology for traditional craftsmanship. We have some international cooperation, by example, with the Milano Politecnico here in Norra Lupo. The general result of this case study is the testing of the time-space geography method applied on traditional craft performance. The specific case of the documentary Lillesmide shows that the producers at the museums, the editors of the film, do not fully understand the crafts. The wrought scythe that are made in the film do not have essential qualities to function as such. The old blacksmiths do not carry on a functional tradition. but rather expose a break in a tradition of craftsmanship. Our conclusion is that trained craftspersons need to become involved in this type of documentation. The aim cannot just stop at nice stories, nice pictures, when the need of safeguarding and enhancement in this type of rare crafts are tremendous. When craft is defined as traditional, one may assume that the tradition is threatened. There is a call for a new museum practice to enhance the capacity of traditional craftsmanship to meet future challenges. An augmented documentation could serve craft persons and craft communities to investigate their own craft-related problems, to create learning resources and experiment new work methods, new tools and new procedures, to meet a broader audience and support the all-through necessary co-craft strategies in the weak and endangered craft fields. Thank you.